time to play ball. Welcome to the podcast with no limits. Whether it be sports, current events, or random thoughts, this is the place to step in and stay a while. Your host is a proud alumnus of Rio Hondo Prep, a former minor league baseball umpire, and a man with strong opinions. Welcome to the Get Home Safe podcast and your host, Matt Hersema.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Get Home Safe. Yes, you are listening and watching to the Get Home Safe podcast, even though if you're watching it on YouTube, it does have a little bit of a different look to it, a new background, a new writing, a new phrase. It still says Get Home Safe, but we are improving our logos and such here on the podcast. I kind of got a little itchy and was just raring to go with making some new changes to the Get Home Safe podcast as I was kind of preparing this new Charge to Keep podcast that I've been working on. So I was putting logos together for that podcast and getting, the not the biologies, what's it called? I'm at a loss for words already today. The write-up, the explanation, I'm already a mess today. But anyway, so I got going on the Charge to Keep podcast, and I really wanted to make some improvements to the Get Home Safe podcast. So for those of you seeing a lot of activity on social media the past week or so, that's been me kind of rebranding the Get Home Safe podcast logo, our image, and just kind of heading in a new direction here, just making some improvements as we hopefully have done the past couple of years. But the old logo I came up with, it was just basically a depiction of the LA skyline, and I put Get Home Safe on there, and that was the background here on the podcast on my Zoom video. But it was kind of awkward. It was Get Home, and then you couldn't see Safe really. It was behind me, some zoom in issues there. And I thought, I had a few months back used a kind of a black and white image of Iwo Jima with the American flag, that famous photo. And I really liked that because I thought it paid a tribute to our military and also, the patriotism that we have here on the Get Home Safe podcast. And I told you guys when I started the pod 2 years ago now, that Get Home Safe was a tribute to my baseball work and also the Uber and Lyft driving I was doing. And, anytime you go out, it's just like, hey, get home safe. My parents always said that to me. It has a little pun for getting home, get to home plate safe. So that is where it all stemmed from. But it also was a tribute to the military and the military who've been deployed, and just, hey, get home safe. It's a tribute to the police officers out there and the firefighters. So that's why this title is special to me. It started kind of corny, but it is a brand, and I'm kind of rebranding everything here. So I went to the Iwo Jima background, kind of the black and white clouds there. I wanted Get Home Safe on our video here to be just above me, and you could read it all. So this is actually a different background than the actual Iwo Jima logo, because the flag was sticking up. It's been hours working on this, guys, so I appreciate your patience. You probably didn't even want to hear this long-winded story, but I just wanted some explanation for what was going on the past few weeks, I should say, with the podcast. Just some new logos, kind of a new direction is all. And it got me fired up with the Rio Hondo Prep football podcast that I've already started to put together. No episodes yet, but if you like this podcast, you like our Rio Hondo Prep segments, you're going to love the new podcast I've put together, a Charge to Keep. Just look up Charge to Keep podcast pretty much anywhere you listen to your podcast. We're already up on Amazon, Spotify, Google Podcasts. I have a YouTube page, Charge to Keep. Make sure you check that out. Again, no videos yet, no episodes yet. That is coming up very, very soon. I'm going to kick off the new podcast probably in June with one episode. It'll be right after the Rio Hondo Prep 2022 graduation, as we turn the page from celebrating those great seniors to now moving into this new podcast, A Charge to Keep, for the upcoming football season. And I've said on there in some of the not episode notes, but the descriptions and such that weird, but it was not biology, your personal bio in the descriptions. Anyway, I've said in the Charge to Keep podcast, we're gonna have some other Rio Hondo sports topics throughout the year. Again, if some other teams make great playoff runs, but this podcast is specifically dedicated to Rio Hondo Prep football from the summer all the way through the fall, the late fall, hopefully, as the playoffs wind down. So that is, I'm very fired up about this. I got the logo. I got it's already up on the platforms. The YouTube channel is created. Now we just need some content, and I can't wait to have interviews with head coach Mark Carson. The plan for that pod for right now is to do that episode in June, right after graduation, kind of going through Coach Carson and asking him about what's the summer schedule like for the Rio Hondo Prep football team. Perhaps a month later, right around July 4th, maybe right after July 4th, I want to have a midsummer update. Also a tribute to opportunity for Coach Carson to talk about his great love for the country, as I know he's a great patriot, as am I. So that's kind of fitting, that midsummer time. And then once we hit August, guys, we're going to be weekly with that pod. I think we'll have it on Fridays, building up to the season opener on August 26th. And then after that, we'll have podcast release either Sunday or Monday. I'm not sure yet, probably recording it Sunday regardless. And so that is the tentative schedule here for the new Charge to Keep podcast. So I can't wait. I hope you guys will subscribe to the podcast, give it a like. There's no content yet, but it's just some news that I'm fired up about. And the Get Home Safe podcast is not going anywhere. It's still going to be here weekly for you. I might take some break from guests every week, as I've just been, pushing away at that. And here we are now, but I'm always going to have this one solo show, I guess. Keep this going, but doing the new Charge to Keep podcast and the Get Home Safe podcast, it's going to be a balancing act for me. So it's just all about time and time management. So those are some thoughts on the big things upcoming. We got our new logos here, our consistent logo. That way everything's the same on social media. I didn't like that I had different photos on the Facebook page versus the Twitter page. Now everything should be correct and clean and look good. So new Get Home Safe podcast logo is the famous photo of Iwo Jima. Not to take anything away from that photo or anything, but I personally have liked what I've done, the kind of the black and white background. And if you guys have thoughts, you don't like it, you love it, hey, let me know. I like the feedback from you guys. It's great to hear from the listeners of the podcast. And I will say I was pretty fired up that I got my first voicemail in a long time from Mr. Todd Carson, an avid listener of the podcast, one of my best friends in the whole world, had a birthday last week, and he's got some other big news that he shared with a few friends that I'm sure will make the rounds here soon. But Todd is a big time baseball guy, as am I, and it is a special time of year right now with postseason college baseball. If you're not into that, I highly recommend it. The high school playoffs are done here in Southern California. We crowned 7 champions here in Southern California, and now it's on to the college postseason. And I mentioned to you guys already about the junior college state championships. They're set for this weekend. Division II super regionals, the Division I conference tournaments start this week. There's just a ton of postseason baseball that's going here, and there's nothing like postseason baseball. The MLB playoffs are great, but we got to wait till October for them. But right now, we have plenty of action, plenty of things to dive into and to be excited about. But I'm very excited about a voice message I got from Todd Carson this last week in regards to the episode with Dr. Chris Albaugh. Hopefully you guys got to listen to that, the voice of the Titans and the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. Todd said a few kind words about Dr. Albaugh, and then gave a little impersonation of the great voice that is Chris Albaugh. So let's take a listen to what Todd Carson had to say after listening to a recent Friday episode of the podcast titled The Voice from Above. Here's Todd Carson.
Hey, Matt, Todd here. Great show on Friday with Chris Albaugh. Brought back a lot of great memories, like hearing your Cal State Fullerton Titans and names like Murph Norris. And starting at third base, number 15, a senior from Los Alamitos, Ronnie Prettyman. Poor imitation, I know, but Chris, thank you so much for the memories. And Matt, keep up the good work.
Wow. Well, thanks a lot, Coach Carson, man. I'm sure that took him a few takes, but solid, intimidation. Why am I mixing up words so bad today? Impersonation, not intimidation. Solid impersonation of Chris Albaugh, the great voice of the Titans. Chris, I gotta say, man, if you're listening to this pod right now, if you're ever feeling sore, hey, maybe you can't go the full 9 innings. I think Todd is right there ready to go for you out of the bullpen. He'll be stretching the vocal cords, and then he'll get loose and be ready to go. So Chris, you've always been a 9-inning guy, and you're a complete game announcer. We appreciate you for that. But it's a long season. You pace yourself, man. If you need to, hey, let me come out of the game. I ice myself down a little bit. Get loose, get ready for the next day. Hey, you got a great backup there in Todd Carson. He's ready and willing to go, Chris. So Todd, stay ready. So you don't got to get ready, if you know what I mean. And thanks for the kind words, Todd. I appreciate you, man. As always, Todd always gives me great feedback behind the scenes. And so I love when guys call in, man. It's an easy option. You can go to the anchor.fm. I always put the link in the episode notes that you just click there. It's a 1-minute limit, super easy. Just make sure you hit submit after re-listening to your voicemail, and just always appreciate that, because it's fun to have other voices here on the pod. Like, I'm taking phone calls, always a great time. I did hear a great message from Maynard Bajorquez, or I shouldn't say here, I should say a write-up. He wrote me asking me a question about have you guys heard about this team called the Savannah Bananas? I think it's an independent minor league team. They're not affiliated, of course. And basically what they are doing is they travel around, and they are basically they're playing a different version of baseball than we all are accustomed to. They're doing a lot of dancing. They play very fast. They do stuff like you can steal first base if you're the batter. There's a wild pitch, gets past the catcher, and you can steal first. They try to play games as fast as possible. A lot of fan interaction, a lot of dancing and things. Maynard's question to me was, what are your thoughts on what the Savannah Bananas are doing to bring crowds and the game of baseball? And the video he sent me are the Savannah Bananas, the future of baseball? Well, personally, my initial thoughts on the videos I've seen, and I would encourage you guys to check this team out, the Savannah Bananas. It sounds very odd, but it's a real thing. To me, Maynard, it's a great question, because I think we're in this modern age where we're trying to constantly change the great game of baseball that's been around for, over 100 years. And people want to kind of make it and turn it into other sports. To me, this is similar to WWF, or like WWE, whatever it is now, or the Harlem Globetrotters. Yes, that's a version of basketball, but I would much prefer to watch real basketball, or WWF. That's like a version of UFC or UFC, whatever. It's combat, I guess, but it's staged. It's kind of weird. It's goofy to me. My initial thought with the Savannah Bananas is it looks like a circus out there, basically. And there's plenty of people who hate baseball that I'm sure would love checking this out, because they do goofy things. They got dudes standing on stilts and pitching, and they got umpires dancing. They got all kinds of weird stuff. It's really is a show. And I don't know, to me, it's, if you proclaim that that's what it is, that you are the Harlem Globetrotters, that you are WWF, then fine, by all means, do your thing. But for me, as far as the future of baseball goes, I don't know, with the attack really on minor league baseball, and kind of filtering that out of small towns and having less minor league teams, maybe baseball does go to this. I don't know, but I think there's so many people that have an issue with baseball. And, I don't want to sound like an old man here, although most of my podcasts I do. Some people, you either get baseball or you don't. I hear the same people talk to me about soccer, at one time, golf. I didn't get it. Now I get it a little bit more. So I think as you mature, maybe your opinion of sports, matures. But I honestly think that I see stuff like this and I just kind of roll my eyes. I've just because I was on the field in professional baseball. I know how hard it is and was for the guys playing, making less than $1,000 a month. For us umpires, we did a little better than that, but we're by ourselves, just me and my partner. And minor league baseball, for the fans, for the game staff and everything, yeah, it's entertainment. But for the people on the field who are fighting their hearts out every single night, working as hard as they possibly can to get stuff right and advance to the next level, it's a job. It's your one shot, really. And I think the independent stuff, what the Savannah Bananas are doing, that's for guys who've been there, done that. They took their shot and they just want to have some fun. By all means, I think it's cool. But for me personally, I much prefer baseball as more old school than new school. That's just me. So, but you guys should check it out, make a decision for yourself, and let me know what you think. Send in a message to me. I think with this evolution of baseball, right, we're gonna see a lot more things and changes. People are just throwing mud against the wall to see what sticks, and who knows if the Savannah Bananas continue to have big crowds and get a lot of publicity, then maybe other teams will rise up. It's not minor league It's not minor league baseball. You got to remember, there's affiliated minor league baseball where, say, you're watching the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. Those are players in the Dodgers organization, so they're trying to move up to AA, then to AAA, and then eventually get to the Dodgers, right? In independent baseball, independent minor league ball, you see a lot more not fluky stuff, but just like sticky stuff. Like, just you see more of the off the field product or entertainment, we'll say, in non-affiliated baseball, independent league baseball, because it is a show and it's guys just playing to play and maybe get looked at and eventually get picked up again. And some guys just keep playing to play. So anyway, that's my take, Maynard. A long-winded question, or answer to your question, I know. But that's what I think of it. Speaking of, the old school and new school of baseball, I think this has come up the past few years. There is this push, and it stems a lot from the media. Guys that have never stepped foot on a professional baseball field in their entire lives, but they sit in an air-conditioned press box and they know how to write articles and bash not just umpires, but the way the game is played and things of that nature. So I got to say that baseball is how it is for a reason. There's a reason it is policed amongst itself. There's a reason there's a right way and a wrong way to play it. And all these guys that want to hit home runs and jump around and celebrate and show up the opponent and all those things, hey, that's fine. But don't think there's still an element to the game, and guys that who have been invested in baseball for so long that are gonna do their best to carry on its traditions and the way of life in a baseball season. It's a 162 game season. So that's a big part of why, showing guys up is such a big deal. It's like, whoa, man, hey, we're all out here grinding this game together, this season together, and you're gonna show me up, or you're gonna, and some people just don't get it. Some people, man, this is stupid. They're celebrating. Why wouldn't you celebrate if you hit a home run? It's like, there's nothing wrong with celebrating, but there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. And maybe it's too hard to explain. You either get it or you don't. But all I want to say about this stuff is, as far as baseball drama goes, it's like always the same guy. I'm talking Major League Baseball right now. Okay, I've never worked at the Major League Baseball level. I was in the minor leagues for 4 years, did another couple of years in independent ball. So I did 6 years of pro ball. Okay, and I can honestly tell you that it's the same. It's just the same thing. My point to this, what you're here in Major League Baseball, it's always the same guys who are causing problems. It's always the same guys who are in the middle of drama, and they play this innocent card, right? It was the same way in the minor leagues over the course of 6 years. It's like, yep, why is it always the problem? Why are you always in the middle of these problems? Is it just bad luck? Probably not. I mean, fool me once, fool me twice, whatever the saying is. In the majors this past week, 3 guys that came to mind, or that popped up in the news because there was a beef, and there's guys arguing and, doing the tough guy contest that most Major League Baseball players do. Yasmani Grandal, Tim Anderson, Josh Donaldson. You hear those three names and you just be like, well, which incident? Because they've had a ton of them. And it's like, anytime you see those guys in an argument or a fight, or they're, thumping their chest and yelling at the other team or whatever, it's always the same guys. Those are just three examples of guys that are always seems to be at the forefront of headlines. And I don't know who's right or who's wrong. I mean, somebody called someone this and this, and I didn't like how you did that. And it's just like, it's so hilarious to me. Let's go outside of baseball, for instance. And there's, how would I even say this? I don't even know. I'll go to the referee standpoint. Some referees will tell me all the time, oh man, this happened in my game, or, oh, all these things always happen to me. That's like, well, maybe things aren't just happening to you. Maybe you're like the cause of them. Okay. Some guy, I can't tell you how many guys would come to me and be like, hey, I got something for you that happened in my game. And it's like, well, could this been avoidable? You know what I mean? Like, some people, the drama finds them because they go out of their way to find the drama. And I think that's the case with some of these guys in baseball. I mean, just look around. And next time you see an ejection, next time you see most often these bench clearing situations, it's the same guys. It's the same, I don't know, 10 dudes in Major League Baseball who are always at the forefront of these things. Oh, I'm sorry, they're competing. That's always the defense. We heard that in college baseball all the time. When coach would yell at you or something, you'd yell back and he'd just be like, hey, take it easy. I'm just competing out here. I'm competing. Oh, okay, cool. Well, I'm competing, I guess. If I'm going to yell, you can yell at me, but I can't yell at you. Like, anyway, it was always hilarious. I'm competing. Can you imagine that as a defense? Like, a cop pulls you over, you're driving super fast. Sorry, officer, I was just competing. I mean, I was just competing. I mean, right? We're allowed to compete. Yeah, I went over the speed limit, but I'm competing. Just trying to get an edge, get to work a little faster. I don't think it works. So just keep an eye. Those three guys. Again, the season is still young. Grandal, Tim Anderson, Josh Donaldson. They were all three involved together in whatever's going down in New York this weekend. And it's always a feelings hurt contest. And I know I talked about baseball already and how it's old school and doesn't change a whole lot. And guys are still throwing at each other just because he celebrated a home run, or they're stealing bases late in games. And it's just like, you can try to fight this stuff all you want and be like, well, the game needs to change. We need to make it more fun for kids and everything. I don't really have an explanation for you. It's just, baseball's different. It's been how it's been for a long time for a reason. And it's like all these people that like come up with new ideas in 2022, or how it's funny, people bash, I hear this all the time. Believers or different religions, especially Christianity, they're bashed. It's like, oh, you believe in that stuff? And it's like, well, yeah, it's been around a long time. And a lot of people smarter than me, smarter than you, have believed in this stuff. And maybe there's been some evolution, no pun intended, of the laws and the belief systems and everything. But if this stuff was, if the good book was good enough for someone of the likes of Abraham Lincoln, as an example, George Washington, just to name a few, some of our other presidents, and not even Americans, people from the ancient days. I mean, seems like maybe it seems like I would be too proud. Oh, I can't believe in that. I don't believe in that stuff. That's stupid. Okay, well, maybe you think it is, but like, don't like, if it's not for you, that's fine. But don't like look down on people for believing it. Having a belief system, I should say. And I know that's a little deep with like religion and baseball, Matt. That's it's just an example. Like, if you don't believe in something, that's fine. But understand that it exists for a reason. Okay. And it's not to say games can't evolve and sports can't evolve. They should. And it's good that they do. But there's some foundational items, we'll say, the unwritten rules, they exist for a reason. Maybe they should be called the unwritten. It's so funny. We have the unwritten rules in baseball that everyone is mad about, but then we have 10 well-documented rules like the 10 commandments, and we seem to have a problem with those too. So what do we need? Unwritten and written? I don't know. I'm all over the place today. It's a Monday morning. It's Monday afternoon now, and I'm all over the place. I had a long time setting up today, and it was just like, what am I going to do? What am I going to talk about? Anyway, let's take a breather. I got a great rule topic for you guys today. It's very simple. And I like when there doesn't take a lot of explanation. I can just throw it out there. And some of you guys will be like, whoa, I didn't know that. Maybe some of you are like, wow, I knew that, but wait, and you tweak it or whatever. So let me know, by the way, I always ask this, come on, throw it back to me, guys. It's a two-way street here. I don't just want to hear me talking. Do you like this segment, the quick baseball rule at the end, plus a little baseball slang term? I'm just trying it this year. Maybe it won't continue next year, but for now, it is going to. We'll take a break from baseball for a second and a couple of things. Again, the whole male-female interaction sometimes I find hilarious, and it just brings up a few things with, again, the wonderful Miss Valerie, who I have daily interaction with, and it's if any of you guys have this this couples moment where, when the usually the young ladies, they bring stuff home, and it's like all the clothes and all the things they went shopping and got. We kind of have this new 2022 version of that, and it's co-ed. It's not just the ladies usually doing the shopping and bringing home the merchandise, and you kind of look there and you roll your eyes, or they tell you, oh, I saved so much. Now, because of technology, I think the men are also doing a little bit of this. And, I can't remember what was going on, but her big shot, her little jab at me, and I don't think she meant it negatively, but I kind of chuckled when she said it. She goes, so I saw what you bought on Amazon, because I bought something that I probably didn't need, but I wanted, and something I was going to end up using. It was actually kind of work related. So I justified it. But I thought that phrase was funny. So I saw what you bought on Amazon. It's like, that's the new in 2022. Obviously packages show up at the house and things, but like when you guys share an account or whatever, you get that email alert or what they say, hey, new purchase. You're like, what? I didn't buy it. Oh, she bought this, or vice versa. Right. So I saw that. I kind of laughed. I was like, yeah, I can't hide those purchases from you, huh? It's when you have a joint Amazon account. Anyway, I found that kind of funny. She also made fun of me. I told you guys this before. When you accidentally put your shirt on backwards, which I've done repeatedly, something just doesn't feel right, and you're like, what is going on here? And her and I started a friendly argument, we'll say, and she had a good one. I got to hand it to her. She goes, you know what? I can't take you seriously with your shirt on backwards. And I was just like, I got nothing. I absolutely got nothing there. I love to deliver those types of lines in a baseball argument as an umpire, where you could kind of give a parting shot like that they really couldn't say much of. And it happened to me a couple times. A coach came out one time, and he was arguing with me for a very brief moment. He goes, come on, Mark. And I go, it's Matt. And he goes, oh, all right, well, I'll see you later. And he left, and he went and walked away. I've also called the manager the wrong name, and it didn't go as well. Actually, I, in the same argument, did it twice, and it was very heated. And I go, oh, he goes, you can't get anything right, can you? I'm like, touche. You're right. I can't get plays right. I can't get names right. So anyway, I found that funny. Well done, Valerie Burns. Until next time, we continue this duel. I can't take you seriously with your shirt on. And then we had a friend over this weekend, a friend from out of state that I hadn't seen in a while, and it was so good seeing him. He stayed with us for a couple days. He was out here baseball related, and just had a blast with him. I mean, it's so nice when you have friends all over the country, but you haven't seen in a while. They come here. You just pick up right where you left off, and you don't skip a beat. So, but anyway, we were preparing for my buddy's arrival, and fellas, you know this. I mean, I'm a decent. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm a decently clean guy. I think I'm pretty organized. But that X-ray vision that women have, the clean X-ray vision, where they just look at things that I don't think to look at. I mean, I'm looking at the floor right now. It seems fine. There's nothing on it, but apparently it's dirty. And she's usually right when she's like, yeah, we got to clean the floors. I'm like, why? What are you talking about? And then we clean them. And it's like, oh yeah, I guess they were dirty. So anyway, women in their X-ray clean vision, like that they see. So we're preparing for my buddy's arrival. And I'm like, he's a mid-30s guy who's on the road for 3 days. He's not going to care if everything is in its little place. He wants a clean he wants a clean bathroom. Let's make sure we have a clean bathroom for him. A clean path to the kitchen and an unobstructed view of the television. That's all that we care about. Typically, us men. I'm speaking for most men right now. And she's like, I said, man, I said, what's with all these? You have so many rules. And she goes, no, only a couple. I was like, that's a good line too. I got all dramatic saying, oh, you have so many rules. And she's like, no, only a couple. I was like, you're right. You're very easy to deal with. You don't have a lot of rules, which is why I respect you and appreciate you. And I don't like losing all these arguments, which I haven't been losing a lot of. Her two favorite words, I should say two words she uses the most is you're right. And anytime she has an opportunity, something happens where I'm just like, hey, come on, you could say it. She's like, no, I'm not saying it. It's like, come on, you're used to saying it. You're right. Say it again. Most of the time I am right, but I also give her a few too. So she had some victories this week with her little jabs at me. So she's getting better, and I got to step my game up here. I mean, I just can't have that. I cannot have her winning the arguments, just little death by 1,000 cuts. I won't stand for it. So it's time to step up the game. Speaking of changes, we'll say, every man reaches a point in his life where he has a decision to make. Do you kind of stay on a certain road? Do you just kind of make slight adjustments and go with the card, play the cards that you're dealt, or do you step up and maybe make some changes? And so some changes I am strongly considering as I've aged a little bit here. And as you guys could see, the hairline, we got the power alleys going here. In the left center, right center, just kind of expanding quite a bit. And my hair has gotten shorter and shorter over the years. And then I started to see, look at this little gray spot here. The beard's getting a little gray spots. I'm like, what is happening? And the hair, I shaved it the other day, on my low, not speed, whatever it's called. And I'm just like, it was getting harder and harder. It's not harder, but I'm just like, there's not much left here. I go at like a 0 or whatever. So I think at this point, guys, again, after living with short hair for a while, I think I'm committing here. I think I'm making the commitment and going all in. I shaved it one time for Halloween when I was doing the UFC and boxing referee thing, but I think I got to go all the way. Got to commit to it. So stay tuned on the podcast. For those watching on YouTube, you may have to deal with not only my ugly mug, but a bald head here very, very soon. But hey, not much on my dad's side of the family. Not many of the uncles and such had hair very long, so it was destined to happen. And unfortunately, when it's got to go, it's got to go. So maybe I'll wear more hats. I don't know, but I think it's time, guys. I think it's time to go all in on shaving the old domes, high and tight, indeed, go all the way. All right, let me see. Got to the Val stuff there. Let me see. Rattled pots. Oh no, that was something else. So I talked about baseball this past weekend. Was the CIF championships. I got to get out to a couple of games, semifinal game, watched some buddies work on Tuesday, and then went out and watched some of the CIF finals. Well, I watched them online, but I watched some college stuff too. And I do want to tell you guys, just kind of updating you for the this weekend of baseball. Conference tournaments again start this week. I think Wednesday through Saturday in some cases, or maybe even through Sunday. The Pac-12 is having its first ever conference tournament. And I happen to know a few guys work in that. So congrats to them. Congrats to all the umpires selected to work conference tournaments. For a lot of these teams, it's their only chance to get in is to win the conference tournament. I like that. I've talked about that in basketball already. Some people are against it because it's like, hey, why should a team that finished, 7th or 8th win a few games and get in the NCAA tournament? Well, I somewhat agree with that, where I like the conference tournaments where not the majority of the teams get in. Maybe 4 out of the 8 in a smaller conference, or maybe 6 out of the 10 in a bigger conference. I like when You get to play for a true champion at the end of the regular season, a little mini playoff, because every now and then a Cinderella does get hot and work themselves into the tournament. Most famous example of that is 2008. The Fresno State Bulldogs won the conference tournament and then went on to just get on the hottest streak I've ever seen a team at any level. Win the Long Beach Regional, win the Arizona State Super Regional, go to Omaha and get to the championship game before taking down the Georgia Bulldogs and being the Wonder Dogs of 2008. I was there with my buddy Todd Carson to see it in person. It was really something to see. So that's kind of why I like conference tournaments. It's like warming up for the conference, the NCAA tournament the following week. So the WAC, you're going to see a lot of this on ESPN Plus. The WAC has a tournament. The Mountain West has a 4-team tournament, I think, and so does the West Coast Conference. And then the Pac-12 tournament, I'm really excited about this weekend, getting to see that for the first time, what that's going to look like. So it's always usually on a neutral field in these conference tournaments. But at the lower levels of baseball this weekend, a huge series down in San Diego as both Azusa Pacific and Point Loma University from San Diego, each of them won their mini regional, their 3-team regional. They each came out. And so this weekend, guys, 2 local teams in Azusa Pacific and Point Loma University down in San Diego will play a 3-game series to see who advances to the Division II College World Series. So there's 8 teams that make the College World Series, just like there are in Division I. And usually there's one representative out here from the West Coast, and they will be battling it out this weekend at Point Loma at Carroll B. Land Field, I think is what it's called, but it's the most scenic ballpark in all of America. And I truly do mean this. If you want to see something that just is truly mind-blowing, check out Point Loma baseball field. And it's up on a cliff. It overlooks the ocean. I've got to work there a few times. It's just truly quite a sight to see. And that's where the Division II Super Regional this weekend will be, with either Azusa Pacific advancing from right up the street here where I sit, or Point Loma will advance to the Division II World Series in Cary, North Carolina. So good luck to both teams. It's 1 game on Friday and then 2 games possibly on Saturday. I think 1:00 Friday and then 2 games starting at 11 on Saturday, with the second game being the if necessary. So you can watch these games online. If you can't make it down there, of course, it's a little far for us who live up here, but check it out, man. It's good baseball. It's competitive. And it should be a good series this weekend between Point Loma and APU. Just go to either of their websites, look up APU baseball or Point Loma baseball, click schedule or whatever, and you should see a link that says live video. So I'm saying, I throw this stuff out there in case you guys are looking for, some good viewing, something good, some good playoff baseball. Cause I got to tell you, I always tune in, and it's pretty exciting. I also mentioned last week about the junior college state finals for here in California. And I'll just throw the teams out here for you. But again, you can watch those online if you're looking for some competitive baseball from the 2 Southern representatives, Riverside and Palomar from down in San Diego. They're the 2 Southern California representatives. They're going to go up and face Olone, Ohlone. I'm not sure where they're at. And then Folsom Lake, who's actually hosting this year's junior college state championship series, we'll say, of the up there. It's 4 teams, double elimination. So it's always Memorial Day weekend. I got to work it back in 2016, and that was quite a blast. But 2 games Saturday, 3 on Sunday, and then 1 or 2 games on Memorial Day. So quite a weekend of baseball for not just Division I and the conference tournaments, but some of the lower levels, and some teams here from Southern California. And I encourage you guys, check it out. Go watch online. I mean, unless you guys are more into the Savannah Banana stuff, hey, there's some good postseason baseball that I'm sure you guys will enjoy. And I got to tell you, going in person is really, really cool. It's something that I used to do a lot with Division I before I was umpiring. Obviously, working games was the priority, I'll say. But before that, when I was kind of a student and a fan and all those things, I still go to games you're never fully retired as an umpire. You go watch and support your buddies. But at the same time, you you just love the game, and I love the game of baseball, no matter what the level is. And it's been really, really cool to see teams continuing to advance here in the postseason. And two of my biggest highlights were working the JC State Championship in 2016, maybe it was 16, and then working the a Division II regional, actually at Azusa Pacific in 2018. So two of my big highlights, and it's fun to see other guys go out and get those assignments and work those games. And you're pulling for those guys to do well, because there can be disasters that occur, and I've seen that from around the country already. Some bad endings to some college postseason games where you feel so bad for the umpires involved, because nobody wants to end a game on a bad note. I mentioned to you guys about the fancy TV strike zone before. That is just, to me, the box never changes, and computerized strike zone I'm not a fan of. But I posted something on my personal Facebook page. It was kind of just an example of the frustrations I have with this stuff. It was the same exact pitch, and one team's broadcast had it as a strike, and the other team's broadcast had it as a ball, and just above the box or right in the box. And it's just like, this is what's frustrating. When fans see this box on their television, and they think the umpires are just awful and doing a terrible job. And I try to point out the hypocrisy in these things every chance I get, because I think it's bad for the game, and it's bad for the perception, we'll say, of umpiring. I'm not going to say umpires are perfect. I refuse to say that. I point out mistakes when I see them, but it's hysterical to me that the media drives all this stuff, right? And just, if you guys can't get the same box on your television screen, then how are you possibly complaining about a human's strike zone, his interpretation of it? So those are just my 2 cents. Let's see, before I get to the baseball terminology segment, I do want to touch briefly on let me see, sorry guys. The hockey playoffs continue, and one thing that stands out to me, my goodness, when you see these guys, sometimes they don't even have their stick. They lose their stick. The defensemen that are like sliding and diving in front of these slap shots, that's the ultimate team play. I mean, my good, those guys, they're diving in front of pucks, giving all their heart. I mean, some of them are taking shots to the face, and kind of not acting the exact opposite of the LeBron Jameses of the world, who get a hangnail and they fall down and need a stretcher. I mean, these hockey players, the defensemen especially, dude, I could not slide in front of a guy hitting a puck hundreds of miles an hour coming at you, and then just to do it for the team. I would be like, hey, go ahead, score. Like, I don't have a stick anymore. It just stood out to me as guys who were willing to give up their bodies for their team and for their for the good of the cause, really. And I'm thinking to myself, man, sometimes we're asked to do things that seem difficult, and it's just like, I can't do it. And then I see a dude diving in front of a puck, and I'm just like, okay, maybe my life isn't that hard, even though he has been being compensated for quite a bit. Let's see. Oh, and then one final thing before the baseball topic. I've always been a guy that I talk about the past a lot. I understand that. Some people are like, Matt, who cares about your high school days or your achievements or whatever. And I don't like talking about myself very much. I've always kind of been reserved. That's what has been difficult to do this podcast, is I'm much more reserved as far as public speaking goes. But something I've always enjoyed is looking back at achievement. I for the championship games that I've officiated, I've gotten myself a championship ring that I wear occasionally. There's a pride in the things you've done. I still have some certificates and awards from high school and college graduation. I have some work stuff that I have kind of on display. Some of it more towards the front, and some kind of in the closet and everything. But I think it's important to have to have a place where you look back at achievements, not as a way to be like, oh, I did that, I accomplished that. It's not that at all. To me, when I look at something from the past, a certificate for whatever, I look at it as, I want to accomplish something again. It motivates me. It's not a way to live in the past, even though you hear a lot of professional sports guys. They're like, hey, what was your favorite championship? It's like, oh, the next one, that's the Tom Brady, I think, says. But for us, just average guys who, go to work and try to save money and try to rise the ranks in whatever profession we have. Sometimes looking back at that trophy from a sport you played back in the day, sometimes looking back at a certificate you earned while in college or whatever, just a little pat on the back you got from your work. Sometimes having that, again, not in the main area of your living room or something, but having those things accessible to you, I think it's good for your psyche. It's good for you. It's a good motivating tool, right? Again, if you have trophies all over your house from all your third grade baseball championships or whatever, yeah, that's a little odd. But I think it's important to look back at achievements, not to pat yourself on the back, but to get hungry and be like, man, this was something I didn't think I could do. Because so many times in my life, I've run into these scenarios. I've run into situations. I just said, no, I'm never going to be able to do that. And ended up coming true. I mean, of all the sports I wanted to officiate, baseball was the last one. I can't sit behind a plate and watch 95-mile-an-hour fastballs and break them. I can't do that. And it ended up being the sport I excelled at the most, which is just what college. Never thought I'd graduate college. I graduated. I walked by my degree every day. And it's, I went to a state school and barely graduated, but it encourages me every day to be like, you did something that you didn't think you could do. And that's why I continue to do the podcast, because I want to stay consistent with it and be like, this is something I'm passionate about and something that some people enjoy. And I want to keep it going. That's why I try to post things, and I'm very visual. I need to see things visually, whether it's a graph or a picture, an old trophy, whatever. Like that's how I function. So I just wanted to make a mention of that. Trophies, other awards or certificates, they're not a bad thing. It's not the worst thing in the world, in my opinion, to have those things out and about. Maybe not on the mantle, but when you haven't, when it was 20 years ago or something. But it's good to have every now and maybe that baseball of the no hitter you threw in high school, or the day you went 4 for 5 and hit 2 home runs or what. Like, those are things, I think, not to get sentimental, but I think they help us push forward. That's why a lot of people share memories from the past on Facebook, social media, right? We live in that social media age of, hey, remember when, is the fondest form of flattery or something. But anyway, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Just that achievements are not about, look how great I was. It's more of, hey, what's next ahead? I was able to do that back then. What's the next thing? What's the next mountain? What's the next goal I can accomplish? At least that's how my simple-minded mind works. Okay, to the bottom of the ninth segment here on the Get Home Safe podcast. Pretty soon, I'm gonna be mixing up Get Home Safe and Charge to Keep. But hey, I'll play through it. I'll figure out a way. This actually stemmed from another message that Maynard Bajorquez sent me a couple weeks ago, and it's something that was on my list, but I thought we'd get to it right now. And that is a play that you don't see too often in baseball, but when it does, everyone is like, oh man, really? Yeah, that's the penalty. That's the enforcement. Like, oh, come on. But before I get to that rule, it's kind of related. So I'll say our baseball slang term of the day, and maybe some of you know this, some of you don't. It is the tools of ignorance. I'm not a tool guy. I have a tough time just hanging a picture here in the house. Matter of fact, house projects to me are like getting waterboarded. I cannot stand them. I assist. I try to stay patient, but I am not a handyman. I am not at all. I can't do it. I have no patience and not many skills. So anyway, where was I going? Tools of ignorance. Yes. So the tools of ignorance, very quite simply put, are the catcher's equipment, the catchers, the mask, the chest protector, the shin guards. That's just the kind of the term that is the endearing term for catchers who, because to throw that gear on and go back there and play catcher, where you can get foul balls hit off you, balls in the dirt, you got to block, and you're squatting, think about it, you're squatting. I mean, your knees are just getting shredded. I will echo the statement or in related to the tools of ignorance, I would say the tools of ignorance are for umpires as well, because we wear shin guards, we wear a chest protector and the mask, and you every time you put that stuff on, you're excited to work, and then you go back there, and there's always a point in the game like, what am I doing? Why am I back here when a ball is coming 90 miles an hour at me, probably not where it wants to go, and I got to trust this guy in front of me. This guy to my left is going to swing, and who knows what he's going to do with the bat. So the tools of ignorance, catcher's equipment, but I will echo it and give the bonus statement that, hey, it's probably your umpire equipment as well. So if you haven't heard that term before, it's a term of endearment, I think, but it's for the crazy guys that are catchers and also umpires. Tools of ignorance, very simple one today in the baseball terminology portion of our show. Now, related to that, we're going to now get into our baseball rule of the day to close the show, and we are going to be discussing for our baseball knowledge the rule that revolves around detached equipment. And this is a rule that not many players hear it at any level. I mean, there's guys in the big leagues who will tell you, oh, I didn't know that. No one told me that in pony ball, in high school ball, in college ball, in minor league ball. And I just found this out in the major leagues, and I hurt my team because I didn't know this rule. And it's something that is so simple, but at the same time, such a severe penalty if you mess up on this. So detached equipment, right? This doesn't have to be with catcher's equipment, but it's probably where you see it most happen, is a ball that's in the dirt. Catcher takes his mask off. He looks for the baseball and he reaches with his mask. The ball can be just resting on the ground, and he pulls the ball in with his mask. That is detached equipment. And the penalty for such a violation is runners move up one base where they were at the time of the pitch. Now, this is an example of a pitched ball. So the pitch was delivered, catcher blocked it, couldn't find it, used his mask to scoop the ball up, and probably no runners were going anyway. I had this up in Fargo. I was on the bases, I saw it, and I went, wait a minute, he can't do that. And so for the whole game, everyone thought it was a balk. They're like, hey, what was the balk you guys called? It's like, we didn't call a balk. We called detached equipment. The catcher used his mask to scoop up the ball. You can't do that. And so that's an example of detached equipment that you will most likely see. And guys, there's catchers in the big leagues who don't know this, who didn't know this. There was a great video Maynard sent me about guys on the MLB network talking about this, and how I didn't know this until someone told me in the minor leagues, and because it happened the other night in a major league game, I believe. But anyway, that's where you are most likely to see it. You cannot use detached equipment to field the baseball. Now, another example would be your hat. If there's a fly ball, we saw it, I think, in a league of their own, with Madonna making a great play, but you cannot take your hat off and catch the ball, whether it's a ground ball, a batted ball. You can't use your hat to catch the ball, or you see some guys do this, some high school kids, a line drive over the third baseman, and he'll throw his glove up in the air to make contact with the ball. You do need to make contact with it, but it is that's detached equipment, and the ball remains live. I'm not sure about the high school level, but the ball remains live. Now, you won't believe me on this, but it's absolutely true. We talked about a pitch ball just now. On a batted ball, if you use detached equipment on a batted ball, it is a 3-base award, the only 3-base award to my knowledge in the rule book. If you go back on a home run and the ball's going to clear the fence, and you throw your glove up to hit it and make contact with the ball, and to have it come down and save the home run, maybe it's a good play because it's only going to be 3 bases, but the ball remains live. And if the batter keeps running and he gets all the way around the bases, then he gets that home run. But if he were to be out, say at the plate time, hey, detached equipment, you're awarded third base. So a batted ball, that's why you don't want to catch a pop-up with your hat. Where it gets squirrely, and I probably should have looked this up, is if there's a foul pop-up, for instance, it's in foul ground, and you catch the ball in foul territory with your hat, with your catcher's mask, I believe, even though that ball is in foul territory, with you catching a baseball in foul territory, the ball is live, right? I believe, I maybe have to double check this, but you would get third base on that play on what is just a foul ball. Don't quote me on that. I have to double check that. But I do know a fair batted ball, whether it's a ground ball and you throw your glove at it and it wouldn't have gone to the wall, it's 3 bases, guys. It's 3 bases for the batter. And of course, anyone else would score on that anyway. Yeah, 1 base from the time of the pitch on a pitched ball, and 3 bases from the time of the pitch on the time of the violation. Anyway, on a batted ball, 3 bases, probably you're scoring anyway. The last time it is enforced is on a thrown ball. I don't know where this is less likely to happen, but on a thrown baseball where you would use detached equipment, say balls hit to the shortstop, runner's on, and I go to throw the ball to first base, and the first baseman, it's way over his head, and he goes, "Oh man, this is going to go out of play, and that run's going to score." And he throws his glove up, hits the ball, and it comes down. That's detached equipment of a thrown ball. So in that scenario, 2 bases is the award. So a pitched ball, 1 base, detached equipment. Thrown ball, detached equipment, 2 bases, and a batted ball, 3 bases on a detached equipment award. So they're not all in. Maybe it might be different in high school, but again, I'm just telling you from the college and the professional rules that I know more than the high school stuff. So you don't want a guy out there who's being cute, thinks he's being funny, and does something like this, because it's a severe penalty. It's a simple violation, but it's a severe penalty. So you don't, trust me, you don't want to do this. And when you explain this to a coach, they don't believe you for sure. You're like, wait a minute, you're telling me he gets 3 bases on this? It's just like, yeah, he does. This is stuff we learn at umpire school that we don't think we will ever see. But I guarantee you, it's in that rule book for a reason. And, more than likely, it'll happen at some point. So detached equipment is our rule today, as tribute to the tools of ignorance, baseball slang term we used. Don't pick up the mask. Don't pick up the ball with your mask. Don't throw your glove at the ball. I'm trying to think what else you could use. Don't catch the ball with your hat. Don't do any of that. The equipment is what you use on your body, on your person, but you cannot detach it to use it for something else. So that's our baseball knowledge, our little lesson rules topic today here in the bottom of the 9th. Here on the Get Home Safe podcast, our Tuesday edition. So thanks for joining me today, guys. I will be back on Friday with a conversation with somebody that hopefully you guys tune in for. Just a long form conversation, about an hour long or so, with somebody either affiliated with Real Hondo Prep usually, or somebody from my officiating journey, or someone from that I've crossed paths with. That's always hard to say. Crossed paths with in some way, form or another during my adulthood or whatever. So a lot of sports topics and things, and we'll have more of that on Friday. Guys, enjoy the weekend. We'll be there with you on Friday again, but Memorial Day weekend, one of the best weekends of the year. The unofficial start to summer, as it is a long weekend. A lot of people take that Friday off because you got the Monday off as well. And it's barbecues, it's cold drinks, it's pool time, it's all those things. But let us remember that what it is truly about. Take a few moments, if you will, this weekend, maybe Monday specifically, to remember those who have come before us, who have served and paid the ultimate sacrifice. Not just the people that we lost, although that is what it's not Veterans Day, it's Memorial Day. It's those people that we honor, for those that paid the ultimate sacrifice and gave their lives. But it's also the people, that came back with no legs, that came back with brain injuries and were never the same again. And those are the people I think of that have done so much for us. And I was very grateful that, my grandfather, my uncle, they came back from the wars that they deployed to, but so many people didn't. And we can never take it for granted, the people that have come before us, given so much for us, no matter what. When this country was founded, during the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, when we were so divided, World multiple world wars where we went and fought for freedom around the world, and even in recent years, as we've done, just defending others who cannot defend themselves and trying to make this world a better place. The American soldier is just someone we cannot honor enough. And I just wanted to say those words here as we head into the Memorial Day weekend. So I hope you have a wonderful time with your family, but let's say an extra prayer, maybe say an extra thank you to people that are no longer with us, to the families that have lost people. I mean, I think back to August of last year during the Afghanistan situation where we lost 13, 14, I think it was 13 soldiers there in Afghanistan as we were exiting that country in that situation. A lot of those names were from here, and just, I don't know, people who are so young that were just giving of themselves. So Memorial Day weekend, guys, enjoy the carne asada, the hot dogs, whatever you're rubbing on. It's going to be quite a plentiful food situation, but just please remember what it is all about. And it's also a kicking off of a great summer ahead. And we're going to continue our great shows here on the Get Home Safe podcast. I am out of breath, out of ideas, out of topics, and out of coffee. So it's time for me to depart this fine show. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed the new logos, the new things ahead with the Charge to Keep podcast. I'm just going to keep coming on here, rambling away as I do weekly. But guys, we will see you on Friday with a long form interview. And be sure to go on social media for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You know about the Get Home Safe podcast platforms and pages, but we now have pages for specifically Charge to Keep on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have a YouTube channel. Go on there and subscribe on Spotify, Google, whatever it is you listen to our podcasts here. It will also be available, I should say the Get Home Safe, the Charge to Keep podcast will also be available. So we're still working on Apple as far as the Charge to Keep podcast goes, but we'll have that up and running soon. Guys, can't thank you enough. Enjoy the weekend. God bless the United States military and those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for us. But guys, as always, no matter what you're doing, whether you're out on the town or around in third base, get home safe.